So today we're going to start trigonometry. And today all we're going to do is look at the three trigonometric ratios that we're going to use in our right triangle unit. There are more than three, but these are the three that we need for right triangles. I do want to point out that on your calculator, you don't need a graphing calculator, but you need a calculator that has these three buttons: sine, cosine, and tangent. All right, now we don't need them for today, but you are going to need them tomorrow. So if your calculator doesn't have these three buttons and you're able to get one, that would be very advantageous. Of course, you can always use the calculators that are online to help you as well. Okay, now you heard me say them properly: sine, cosine, and tangent. But what we do is we abbreviate them just down to the first three letters. So it looks like sin, cos, tan, but that's not how you ever pronounce them. So when we read this, we will say sine, cosine, tangent. Now, the sine, there's an equation that you're going to write when we're using the sine function, and it is the sine of some degree, and it always equals opposite over hypotenuse. The cosine of some degree will equal the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. And tangent of some degree will equal the opposite side over adjacent. Now, this will make more sense when we get to the examples. All right, but notice there's a little saying, it's called SOHCAHTOA. You'll hear me say SOHCAHTOA, and I'll tell you, write that at the top of your paper when you're doing the trig. I do have some students that like to write it like this. All right, and then they'll do the ka, and then they'll do the toa. And then this shows them basically the ratios, right? So the sine, which is what the S stands for, is opposite over hypotenuse, or O over H. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, or A over H. Tangent is opposite over adjacent, or O over A. Right? I don't care as you are labeling things if you just use the O, the A, and the H, or if you use a little shorter abbreviation for opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. That will be up to you. But we will be labeling, and you need to use some form. All right, so this is SOHCAHTOA, and this helps us remember what the ratios are. So down here, today, these are the type of problems you're going to do. You're going to be asked to find a following trig ratio for a given angle. You have to pay attention to which angle. So for this problem, it's specifically angle A. So what I'm going to have you do is put a little arc in the given angle, and it's with respect to this angle that we label our three parts: opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. Now, the hypotenuse is always across from the right angle. All right, so the 10 is the hypotenuse. Whichever side is opposite the given angle, in this case angle A, that's the opposite side. And then the remaining side is actually part of that angle. This would be the adjacent. So once you have your triangle labeled, and again, either use these abbreviations or just use the O, the A, and the H, then you're going to come over here and write your trig function. So the sine, all right, using our little SOHCAHTOA, is always opposite over hypotenuse. So we would start with 8 over 10. All right, cosine is always adjacent over hypotenuse. So that would equal 6 over 10. The tangent is always opposite over adjacent, so 8 over 6. Now, because we're writing ratios, these should always be in lowest terms. So we would come back, and 8/10 becomes 4/5. 6/10 is 3/5. 8 over 6 is 4/3. So those are our ratios. All right, let's do another one. This one, it says, find the following trig ratios for angle T. So we come over here with respect to angle T. We label our parts. Now notice I'm missing a part. Well, that's okay. We know how to find them. That's what we did on Monday. We're going to do the Pythagorean theorem. So let's real quick. we've got 5 squared plus 12 squared. Those are the two legs. And that's going to equal c squared. I'll just call that. So we've got 25 plus 144 is going to give me 169. So then I do the square root, and the square root of 169 is 13. So I can fill that in on my picture. Now I have all three, and I can label. So with respect to angle T, 13, that's the hypotenuse. The side opposite or across from T will be the opposite side. And the 12 then, which is part of that angle, is adjacent. Once I'm labeled, the sine of your angle is always opposite over hypotenuse, so 5 over 13. The cosine is always adjacent over hypotenuse, so 12 over 13. And the tangent is always opposite over adjacent, so 5 over 12. None of those need to be reduced, so you're done. All right. This is what we're practicing today, just writing the ratios. All right, and I believe there are 2 assignments. There's a worksheet and there's a short Delta Math assignment to complete. All right.